And welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we've got another SWGOH, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video for you. Specifically, we're going to be looking at our series on Masterful modding, and we're going to be looking at characters that really want lots and lots of defense in particular. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so we are looking at a series of 10 characters that are really going to want your defensive mods, some of your best defensive mods. We also have 3 bonus characters at the end that are non-tanks. You're going to notice that's a theme here with this, folks. The tanks really want defense. But we do have 3 characters that are not tanks that actually really want your defensive mods as well. So we're going to include that as a little bit of bonus content. Make sure you guys stay through all the way to see that information. So with that being said, let's go ahead and look at our first character. First character here that we have is Fives. Fives is a character where you want lots and lots of stats across the board, but he already naturally has really high defense. So modding him for some defense is going to really make a big difference just because of the natural amount of defense that he has. So for instance, if we go in and we look at his stats here, you will notice I have 10% defense added onto him. Not an insane amount, but a decent amount. His base amount of defense, at Relic 7 at least, is 65-ish percent. We're going to round. 64-65%. With my modding that I have, that gives him another 10-ish percent. That makes him extremely thick. The nice thing about having him with defense mods and or defense heavy stats is that it really maximizes his kit essentially. So for one, he's going to counterattack a lot. The way his kit is set up, you want him to also have a good bit of offense. So that is largely because, is tactical? Yes. So his Zeta that he has, tactical awareness. If Fives is defeated this way, 5 of his clone trooper allies gain his max health, max protection, speed, and offense stats in addition to their own until the end of the battle. So that means that you're going to want to give him health, protection, speed, and offense if at all possible. Now, if you just do those things, then people are going to just wreck him, do a lot of damage to him, and his counterattacks aren't really going to be that effective. But if you mod him for a ton of defense, they're going to do very little damage to him. His counterattacks are going to hit far harder. Echo is going to also assist a lot of times, causing further damage. If you have your turret connected to either Fives or Echo, that is going to assist as well. The key you guys are going to see with this series, this mod series here, is that you want to minimize the amount of damage you take and maximize the damage that you're putting out on other people. That's pretty much the common theme here. And that's the case with Fives. Not only do you want him to constantly counterattack and take minimal damage when he's getting hit, but you're also going to want him to be able to really hit hard and or call other people that hit hard when he does that counterattack. So defense is very important on him. You can see that I don't have all 6 defense mods. I wouldn't say that it's an essential thing for him, but it is a very important thing for him. Okay, moving on to our number 2, Stormtrooper Han. I would argue that defense on him is essential, with one exception. I would say there's one thing that is more of an essential thing than defense for him. We'll cover that in a second. So you can see with him, I have as much defense, and the other big one I have here is crit avoidance. We want to have as much crit avoidance and defense on him as possible. The reason for this, similar to Fives, but for a different reason. With Fives, you want him to counterattack, and you want him to be able to cause damage, whether it be through his offense or through somebody else's offense. With Stormtrooper Han, it's more about turn meter. So, with his Zeta, whenever Han takes damage, he recovers 5% protection. So if you guys remember, I said that defense is essential with the exception of one thing being more essential. That one thing is protection. You want to load up Stormtrooper Han with as much protection as possible. When you do that, he's going to gain even more protection back. And if you can severely minimize the amount of damage that you're taking, you actually can heal up as people damage you. It is amazing. It's so incredible when it happens. I have had it happen before. He's incredibly thick, incredibly hard to kill, because he's literally just healing up as you attack him. It's amazing. So load him up with crit avoidance, load him up with defense, and load him up with protection as much as possible. I'll just give you guys a quick little read down of what I've got for him at the moment. So his defense, you can see, is 61.2. It's unfortunately not amazing. He does not have a ton of defense built into his kit like Fives does. But you can see I have more defense on him than what I do on Fives, with 13.5 additional. You do want, like I said, loads of protection on him. This is the best I can do at the moment. I haven't invested super far on him, but that's going to be changing very soon. So if you guys have seen the kit reveal for Sana Staros and know a little bit about how she's going to work, you're going to want to prioritize Stormtrooper Han, because under her leadership, he is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous, and just turns that team into a turn meter train. Oh man, is it going to be good. I'm very happy that I have him at Relic 4 already. If you guys haven't taken him up into the relics, do so. It's amazing. Okay, character number 3. So similar idea as the other ones, folks. We want to try to minimize the amount of damage that this character takes so that he gets maximum benefit from the results of his kit. Now, K2SO is very similar to Stormtrooper Han. Stormtrooper Han is a little bit more advantageous because of the turn meter train, and also he gets 5% protection back, which is crazy. But K2SO has a similar concept. Now you can see with him, again, the defense mods are important. I actually have not updated his mods probably in 4 years, to be honest with you. So I don't necessarily have the best mods on him. Do as I say, not as I do right now, folks. But the reason it's so important here, I'm trying to remember if it's the Enforcer. No, not the Enforcer one. Although that is a good one. It's this one down here. Now, it is a Zeta. It is a Zeta, but we know that there's kind of been a revival of the Rogue One Squadron. And I think they're going to be very important moving forward. This Zeta may end up becoming important eventually. So K2SO gains 1% max protection whenever he takes damage. So it's very, very, very similar to Stormtrooper Han. The difference is it's not near as much. So you definitely want to get a lot of protection on him. You definitely want to have him loaded up on defense and probably crit avoidance as well. And hopefully, especially with other people's kits and as they get better with Rogue One, and potentially in TV, for instance, I'm guessing that this team is going to be very, very important in TV, you could really see those results start to flourish. Now, am I going to run out and relic him and completely remod him and everything right now? No, he's not that essential of a character. But if you are working on a strong Profundity team, a strong Rogue One team for TV, this is a character you're going to want to put lots of defense, lots of crit avoidance, and lots of protection on, just like you did with Stormtrooper Han. Okay, number 4, L337. Now, L3 is kind of a similar situation to Stormtrooper Han and K2SO, except she does not gain a bunch of her protection back by herself. Now, there are other characters within her factions and things that do give her protection recovery. For instance, Kira gives her a lot of protection recovery. So you, in the same situation as the other two that we just talked about, you want to load her up with lots of defense. You want to really minimize the amount of damage that you're taking so that the benefit that you're getting from taking damage is more increased. Now, the one thing I will say with L3, you're going to want more health necessarily than you do protection. Protection is good, but unlike the last two characters, they want all the protection. Protection. L3 is going to want a little bit of both. So you can see in her kit, she has 25% max protection. When she's prepared, she gains taunt, blah, 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 blah. All of that is good stuff. So you can see that the max protection bonus here is important under the self-modification. Too far. She becomes prepared, 15% turn meter. So that's another important part here. She gains the turn meter when somebody else gets damaged. This is where the health becomes important. Now, and again, this is if you have a Zeta, folks. If you don't have the Zeta, don't worry about it. The first time each other droid ally is reduced to 1% health, they equalize health with L337. So again, if you're trying to really, really maximize this character, this is where health becomes a lot more important. The other place where it becomes important is here in her Spark of Hope special. Heal all Scoundrel and Droid allies for 50% of L3's max health. So again, you can see that the protection is important on her because she gains a bonus in her protection, and she gets protection back under Kira's leadership, but health is also important for her here. But despite those things, you really, really want defense in particular. If you can load up some health and some protection on her, go for it. You can see I've got a little bit of a mixture. I've got 4 defense mods and then 2 health mods, so I wanted a little bit of both. And then I have kind of a variety in terms of the protection and the health as well. I've got protection there, protection there, protection there, but you can see in a lot of my secondaries, I have a lot of health and a lot of protection throughout that. So again, basically she's a typical tank. You want protection, defense, and health. Pretty straightforward. Okay, character number 5. Zalbar. So Zalbar, similar situation to L3, doesn't necessarily have it built into his kit like Stormtrooper and K2SO do, but with the rest of his Old Republic team, he'll gain a lot of health and protection back. He also, similar to K2SO, not so much Stormtrooper Han, but K2SO does a lot of counterattacking. Zalbar will also do a lot of counterattacking, and similar to 5s, will call an assist. When you're getting attacked, basically you want to minimize the amount of damage you take so that the damage you're putting out on that opponent is more than they're putting down on you. And same thing in terms of your recovery and your regen from the kit of the other Old Republic characters. So you can see with him, I have him heavily modded for tenacity at the moment. I don't have him into relics. If I took him into relics, I would do a remod on him to get him a lot more defense, crit avoidance, all that kind of stuff. But currently it is not worth giving him a complete remod. You can see I do have a crit avoidance arrow on him. But I just, again, like I said, I haven't used him in a long time, so there's not a point in me really going hard on his mods right now. So again, another situation similar to K2SO. Do as I say, not as I do. If you've got this character, you really want to take them up into relics, make sure you put lots of crit avoidance, lots of defense, and tenacity is also important. You can see I do have a lot of tenacity on him, just so he doesn't get dazed or stunned or anything like that. Okay, so that's our top 5. Now, I should say that our top 10 here is not in a particular order, everybody. So it's not like 5s is your number 1 character for defense. It's more of just a 10 characters that are important. All right, Stormtrooper. Stormtrooper works very similar to Zalbar and to 5s in that with the Zeta, Stormtrooper, or I'm sorry, I'm getting my people confused. I'm thinking of First Order Stormtrooper. My fault. This is regular Stormtrooper. This is the Empire. So with this Stormtrooper, especially under an Iden Versio lead, he's pretty much going to share a lot of his defense or give bonus defense to that team. So you really want to mod him with lots and lots of defense. You can see that I do have 2 defense mods on him in addition to the health. Similar to any tank, you're going to want lots of protection, lots of health. Under Iden's lead, those are both important. He'll regen a lot of those a lot. But the big reason you want the defense and crit avoidance to be as high on him as possible is because, just like I mentioned, under Iden's leadership, they are constantly gaining health, protection, recovery every time somebody attacks out of turn. That's going to be super important for Stormtrooper. So you want to really make sure that he's got lots of defense, lots of crit avoidance, and then stack him with as much protection and health as you can beyond that point. I should mention again, obviously, he's not a top tier character for me, so I don't necessarily have the best mods on him at this point. Sith Trooper. Sith Trooper is another one, similar idea. He's got a lot of retribution on his kit, similar to Zalbar. So you're going to want to load him up with lots of defense. Now, he does get a ton of defense baked into his kit. So CET, you can see, has 100% defense right off the bat. So that is very important. That does help a lot. If you feel like you need to prioritize protection and health a little bit more for him and less so defense, you might be able to get away with that. But again, because he is constantly counterattacking and doing damage to the opposing team, I feel like it's more important that you really minimize the amount of damage you're taking, as opposed to just having a giant vat of hit points for them to slowly take away from you. We're not going to dive too much into it, guys. It's very similar to a lot of the other kits, nothing particularly different than any of the other tanks. First Order Stormtrooper. This is the one I was thinking about before with Stormtrooper. This one works similar to Fives in that he will call other people to assist. So with his Zeta, he will... Actually, let's go ahead and look in here. So First Order Stormtrooper has 65% counter chance whenever First Order... Blah, 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 blah. Call a random ally to assist, dealing 50% damage unless they are First Order. If they're First Order, they do full damage. So with his Zeta in particular, he's going to assist... Or, I'm sorry, he's going to counter... Somebody else is going to assist, just like Fives, and Echo typically happens. And possibly the turret. So you want to really, really, really minimize the amount of damage coming in against him so that he is able to always not only attack on his end, but also have the other ally, who hopefully will do way more damage, attack and actually punish. It'll be a net 0 result on the opposing team, if not a even better result for you, that you're doing more damage than they did. One side note with this, obviously, protection is super important, health super important. Tenacity, just like Zalbar and just like Fives, are very important, because anytime you're dealing with a character that needs to retaliate and or counterattack, then you're going to want to have lots of tenacity in his kit as well, so that he doesn't get dazed, stunned, etc., etc. Moving on to our next one, Darth Sion. Darth Sion is a very, very unique character that just kind of wants everything. He wants all the stats. But defense on him is also very important. You're going to really, really want to load him up so that you minimize the amount of damage coming in. Very similar to all of the other characters that we've talked about that are pure tanks. Some pure tanks, you have stuff built into the kit where you want more of a particular stat. Similar to, for instance, L3 wants a little bit more health than she doesn't necessarily does with protection. Some characters just want it all. And Sion is one of those characters. He just wants everything. You can see with him, I do have a good bit of health mods on him. That's mostly because of just the way that I'm trying to mod him under Atreya for Conquest. But defense is also very important to minimize the amount of damage that they take. I will mention here that if you're running him under Atreya, which I hope you are, CET or SET could be a similar situation here. You're going to want those crit avoidance arrows, because with her kit, there's a ton of crit avoidance. And this can get you up near 100% crit avoidance if you get yourself set up with the right mods, folks. So again, just totally minimizing the amount of damage that you're taking and hurting them with what is happening. I should say with that kit, particularly with Treya, folks, so if they're attacking out of turn, for instance, like Geos, they're taking damage equal to their health. You want to minimize the amount of damage that you take so that you're getting a good net return on the damage that's being done to that team. All right, Bosk. Bosk is a unique situation, similar to kind of L3, where he wants everything, but he wants speed probably more than anything else. But defense is definitively important for him. Again, you want to minimize the amount of damage he takes, because debuffs are what revive or replenish his protection and his health. So the less damage you take, the more opportunities your team has to debuff people, the greater your return is going to be in terms of staying alive and minimizing the amount of damage done to him. Some people might argue that it's more important to have loads and loads of protection on him because of his leadership. In particular, his leadership really boosts everything. 50% max protection, 50% tenacity. All allies gain 100% defense while at full health. I think all of that is important. I certainly could understand an argument that you need to prioritize protection, but that doesn't help you in terms of a specific mod set. I don't think health is as important here. You're going to be more advantageous to go for the defense mods over all 6 health mods. So you can see I do have 2 health mods, but that's more for speed than anything else. I needed speed on him. But if you can, and you've got defense sets that are fast, this is your character you want to put them on. Fast defense mod, folks. And I'll show you this one that I've got here. For instance, it's 22 speed defense mod, 21 speed defense mod. Even a defense... Was it this one? Yeah, even a defense primary is not bad on him, folks, if you've got that speed there. So Bosk definitely benefits from speed, defense, and protection. All right, so that's our top 10. Now, like I said, they are all tanks. pretty straightforward. Protection, health, defense, maybe crit avoidance, maybe speed, maybe some offense if you're 5s and you're weird, you know. But the bottom 3 here are not tanks. But despite that fact, they still really do want some defense in their kits. So Gas in particular here, again, we want to have a maximized amount of protection, but we want to really minimize the amount of damage that's being taken for him. So if you can load up some defense on him and not gain more health than you need, I think that's going to be better. Health is certainly not bad for him, but I think you're better served to have more defense on him as opposed to having more health in terms of mod sets. Next one we have here is SWGOH Oppress. SWGOH is kind of a mixed bag. You want lots of health on him, so I could see the argument of having just 6 health mods without a doubt, but I do think you also still want to minimize the amount of damage that he's taking, particularly because he's going to be getting crit all the time. So you really want to try and give him at least some defense, if not all defense. I definitely would not be opposed to you arguing he needs all health. You're not wrong. Last but not least is armor. Armor needs speed, but similar to Bosk, if you've got some spare defense mod sets that are really fast, she's a really good character to put them on. I have health. You can see I do not have defense on her. This is a case of I needed speed. I needed more and more speed. Speed. And I put all my best speed defense mods on. You guessed it, Bosk. So she's got to settle for the health mods. But similar situation to Bosk. If you have defense mods that are really good and really fast, she is not going to be mad about it, folks. Feel free to put those mods on her and she's going to do really well, no matter what. Alright, cutting back to other screen. Oh, my ear doing this. Driving me crazy. Action. Alright folks, that'll pretty much wrap us up here for today. If you liked what you saw today and learned anything, I'd appreciate it if you guys gave me a like. Also, if you'd like to catch more of the videos that we do here for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, feel free to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Last but not least, if you'd like to join the live discussion, you can join us over on Discord or for our live GAC matches on Twitch. You can check out both the links for those below in the video description. Alright everybody, catch you next time.